Somebody made a YouTube video 2 years ago telling you Bali was paradise, that you could retire there on $800 a month, that the food was incredible, the people were warm, the cost of living was a fraction of anything back home, and they were not lying in 2018. In 2024, those numbers are fiction. Rent has doubled. Visas that once lasted years now expire in 60 days. The Indonesian government has explicitly said they do not want long-term foreign retirees. And thousands of Americans who planned their entire retirement around that dream are now scrambling, savings gutted, plans collapsed, back home with nothing to show for it but a tan and a panic attack. Here is the problem nobody in the retirement content space wants to say out loud. Bad advice has a body count. Not a literal one, but a financial one, a life plan one. Retiring to the wrong country at the wrong time with the wrong visa in the wrong economic climate can destroy a retirement nest egg in 12 months. We've seen it happen. Not in theory, in the expat forums, in the Facebook groups, in the first-hand accounts of people who did everything the retirement influencers told them and still ended up worse off than when they started. So today, we are not telling you where to go. We are telling you what to avoid, and more importantly, why. 6 destinations that are still being relentlessly promoted on YouTube, in retirement magazines, at expat seminars, places with real, documented, ongoing problems that rarely make it into the glossy content. We are covering both sides. We are naming names. And we are starting with the one that is going to surprise you the most, so stay until number 1. That destination has been voted a top retirement spot every single year for the last decade, and the reality on the ground right now could not look more different from the headline. This is not a takedown video. We are not here to trash countries we have never visited or scare you into paralysis. Calm and country-specific Facebook groups with tens of thousands of active members, plus direct reporting from retirees currently living in or recently forced to leave each of these destinations. Where a destination has genuine upside, we will say so. But the catches are what you came here for, and we are not going to bury them. Let's start here, because Bali is probably the reason you clicked. Bali is beautiful. That part is real. The rice terraces, the Hindu temples, the surf breaks, the warung food culture, none of that is made up. For a certain kind of traveler, spending 2 weeks in Ubud or Seminyak genuinely feels like a revelation. The problem is the gap between visiting Bali and retiring in Bali. That gap has never been larger than it is right now, and it is still growing. Start with the visa situation, because it is genuinely disqualifying for most retirees. Indonesia does not have a retirement visa. Let that land for a second. This country, ranked year after year as a top retirement destination by international publications, offers no legal pathway specifically for foreign retirees to live there long-term. What most expats used to do was chain together tourist visas, doing quote-unquote visa runs to Singapore or Malaysia every 60 days to reset the clock. That loophole has been progressively tightened. Indonesia's government has been explicit they want tourists, not settlers. A social visa exists, but requires sponsorship from a local Indonesian citizen or organization, is difficult to renew repeatedly, and carries no retirement-specific benefits. The cost of living story is equally sobering. In 2019, a furnished one-bedroom villa in Canggu, the heart of Bali's expat scene, rented for $400 to $500 a month. Today, that same villa costs $900 to $1,400. Rent in the expat hotspots has inflated by 60 to 80% in 5 years, driven by a wave of remote workers who can pay far more than retirees on fixed incomes. The cheap Bali you read about on those forums, it existed. It is mostly gone. What replaced it is a two-tier economy where locals still live affordably, and foreigners, especially in areas where foreigners cluster, pay prices that are rapidly approaching European levels without European infrastructure or services. Healthcare is a real concern. Bali has improved its private hospital infrastructure, but for anything serious, a cardiac event, cancer treatment, complex surgery, most medical professionals will tell you honestly to get on a plane to Singapore or back to the United States. Medical evacuation from Bali to Singapore alone runs $15,000 to $50,000 depending on the situation. If you are not carrying comprehensive international health insurance with evacuation coverage, that expense comes entirely out of pocket. And then there is the cultural and legal tension that almost nobody talks about in the promotional content. Indonesia is a Muslim-majority nation with conservative social laws in most of the country, though Bali is Hindu and notably more relaxed. But alcohol is expensive and periodically subject to new restrictions. Property ownership by foreigners is constitutionally prohibited. You can lease, but you cannot own. And in 2023, Indonesia passed new regulations that, depending on enforcement, could restrict unmarried couples from sharing accommodation and criminalize certain behavior that is completely legal in the West. Enforcement in Bali has been inconsistent, but the legal framework exists, and the risk is real. Here is the honest verdict. Bali is a spectacular place to spend 1 month or 3. It is increasingly a poor place to build your retirement around. The visa instability alone should stop most people cold. Visit, love it, go back. But plant your retirement flag somewhere with a legal path to stay. Medellín has had one of the most remarkable reputation turnarounds of any city in modern history. In the 1990s, it was the most dangerous city on earth. Today, it has a world-class metro, a thriving art scene, neighborhoods that look like a cleaner, sunnier version of Barcelona, and a cost of living that was, emphasis on was, a genuine bargain. And Medellín's climate is still genuinely extraordinary. The City of Eternal Spring nickname is earned. The altitude keeps temperatures between 65 and 75 degrees virtually every day of the year. That part has not changed. What has changed is everything around it. Medellín has been discovered, not by retirees primarily, but by digital nomads and remote workers, mostly in their 20s and 30s, flush with US and European salaries, willing to pay $1,200 for the same apartment that rented for $450 in El Poblado 3 years ago. The gentrification of Medellín's most desirable neighborhoods has been rapid and severe. Retirees on fixed incomes are being priced out of the exact areas that were most livable and pushed toward neighborhoods that require more Spanish fluency, more street awareness, and more tolerance for infrastructure gaps. The security situation has also quietly deteriorated in ways that do not always make international headlines. Extortion targeting foreign residents, known locally as, quote, vacuna, literally vaccine, has become more common in certain areas. Several expat community forums that we reviewed reported an uptick in foreigners being specifically targeted for kidnap for ransom schemes, not because Medellín is Escobar's city again, but because a visible population of affluent foreigners creates opportunity for criminal networks. The Colombian National Police have improved dramatically. The visa situation is workable, but has its own complexity. Colombia's pensioner visa, the visa pensionada, requires demonstrating pension income of approximately 3 times the Colombian minimum wage, which currently translates to around $750 a month. That threshold is accessible and the visa is legitimate, but Colombia's immigration bureaucracy has been inconsistent in processing times. Documentation requirements vary in practice from what they are on paper, and renewals have caught some retirees off guard. Healthcare is genuinely good in Medellín itself. The city has internationally recognized hospitals and medical tourism infrastructure. But you need to be enrolled in the Colombian health system through EPS, the public system, or a private prepaid plan, and navigating that system in Spanish with Colombian bureaucracy is a meaningful challenge. English-speaking doctors exist, but are concentrated in specific clinics and come at premium prices. The verdict: Medellín is not a trap. It is a genuinely interesting city that still offers a quality of life well above what $1,500 buys in the United States. But the version of Medellín that retirement content was selling 2 years ago is largely gone from the most desirable neighborhoods. If you go with eyes open, fluent Spanish, or a willingness to acquire it, serious security awareness, and a budget that accounts for current, not 2021, rental prices, Thailand was the original expat retirement dream destination. And Chiang Mai in the mountainous north was the crown jewel. Ancient temples, incredible street food, a huge English-speaking expat community, and a cost of living that made every other country look expensive by comparison. For over a decade, it was a legitimate number one. There is a reason dozens of books, blogs, and YouTube channels exist entirely about retiring in Chiang Mai. Here is the catch, and it is a catch that is getting worse, not better. Thailand does not have a conventional retirement visa. What it has is a non-immigrant OA visa, colloquially called the retirement visa, that must be renewed every year without exception. To renew, you must prove either 800,000 Thai baht, roughly $23,000, sitting in a Thai bank account, or monthly income of 65,000 baht, about $1,850, or a combination that reaches 800,000. The money must be in the account at the time of renewal, not just on paper. That 800,000 baht must clear at least 2 months before renewal, stay in the account throughout, and be verified by bank letter. This is not a loophole problem. This is a structural problem. You are required to lock up $23,000 in a foreign bank account, earning near zero interest indefinitely, just to maintain the right to stay. Many retirees on tight budgets simply cannot do that without compromising their liquid emergency reserves. And Thailand has shown zero appetite to reform this system. If anything, enforcement has tightened. Beyond the visa mechanics, Chiang Mai has its own rising cost story. The remote worker wave hit Thailand hard. Rent in popular expat neighborhoods like Ninh Mun has roughly doubled since 2020. The sub $700 a month, one bedroom, pool, gym deal that made Chiang Mai famous is still findable, but it requires moving further from the center, into neighborhoods with less English, less walkability, and less of the community infrastructure that made the city appealing to Western retirees in the first place. And then there is the air. Chiang Mai has a burning season, roughly February through April, when agricultural fires across the region blanket the entire city in particulate matter that ranks among the worst air quality readings of any city on Earth during those months. AQI readings above 200, well into the quote-unquote very unhealthy category, are common for weeks at a time. AQI above 300, hazardous, occurs multiple times each season. For a healthy 35-year-old nomad willing to take a 2-month trip to the beach while it passes, this is a manageable inconvenience. For a retiree with any respiratory or cardiovascular history, this is a serious, documented health risk that the content ecosystem around Chiang Mai consistently underplays. Healthcare in the city itself is genuinely excellent. Bumrungrad and Bangkok Hospital both have facilities here, and private care is affordable and competent. That is a genuine plus. It does not fix the visa problem or the air problem. The verdict: Chiang Mai is not the disaster that sensationalist content would have you believe. For a healthy, adaptable retiree with $23,000 they can afford to park in a Thai bank account who leaves the country during burning season, it still offers a remarkable lifestyle. For anyone with respiratory conditions, budget constraints that preclude the bank deposit requirement, or a need for visa certainty, look elsewhere. This one is going to sting for some people, because Portugal is still being actively marketed as the single best European retirement destination for Americans, and 2 years ago, that case was genuinely compelling. The non-habitual resident tax regime, the D7 passive income visa, the reasonable cost of living, the safety, the English proficiency, it all added up to something that felt almost too good to be true. It was. Let's start with cost. Lisbon is no longer affordable by any honest measure. The average rent for a furnished one-bedroom in a livable Lisbon neighborhood now runs €1,400 to €2,000 a month, $1,500 to $2,200. That is not significantly cheaper than medium-sized American cities. The Algarve, the southern coastal region, runs €1,200 to €1,800 for comparable properties. The cheap Portugal, the one that retirement influencers were describing in 2021, absorbed a massive wave of remote workers, crypto money, and tech company relocations. Rental prices in Portugal's desirable areas rose 40 to 60% between 2021 and 2024. The Portuguese government's own data confirmed it. This is not an exaggeration. The, quote, retire in Lisbon on $1,800 a month narrative is simply no longer supported by current market prices. The non-habitual resident regime, the NHR, the tax incentive that exempted certain foreign source income from Portuguese tax for 10 years, was ended in 2024. The Portuguese government eliminated it, replacing it with a narrower incentive targeting specific high-tech workers. For a retiree drawing Social Security and pension income and hoping to pay little or no Portuguese tax, the primary reason to choose Portugal over other EU nations is now gone. The D7 visa, Portugal's passive income visa, still exists and still works. The income threshold, around €820 a month, is still accessible. But wait times for visa appointments at Portuguese consulates in the United States have stretched to 12 to 18 months in many cities. There is no guarantee they improve. In the meantime, you cannot legally move to Portugal while waiting. You visit on tourist visas and hope. Portuguese bureaucracy has also become a widely documented problem for expats. Tax registration, NIF numbers, healthcare registration, bank account opening. Each of these processes that expat content makes sound like a quick errand can take weeks to months and frequently requires an attorney or registered agent to navigate. Many expats report that the country they moved to on a Tuesday feels, by Wednesday, like it was designed specifically to frustrate them. None of this makes Portugal ugly or unlivable. It is still one of the safest countries in Europe. The food, the culture, the people, genuinely wonderful. But the budget math is broken for most American retirees, and the tax advantage that made Portugal uniquely attractive is legally dead. The verdict. Portugal in 2025 is a destination for retirees with a monthly budget of $3,000 or more, patience for a slow visa process, and tolerance for high bureaucratic friction. It is no longer a budget retirement play. If your plan depends on $1,500 a month or the NHR tax regime, Portugal will break that plan. Mexico deserves to be on this list, and saying so requires some care, because Mexico is not one place. It is a continent-sized country with 32 states, dramatically different security environments, and the unfortunate reality that its most dangerous areas get most of the international attention, while genuinely peaceful regions get little credit. We are not here to write off Mexico. We are here to address specifically the Pacific Coast Retirement Corridor, Puerto Vallarta, Sayulita, San Pancho, Bucerías, because that is where the retirement marketing machine has been operating at full volume and the reality gap has become impossible to ignore. Start with cost. Puerto Vallarta was legitimately affordable for retirees 5 years ago. Today, the rental market in expat-friendly areas is pricing out the Americans it once attracted. A furnished one-bedroom in Zona Romantica or Versalles, the most popular expat neighborhoods, now runs $1,000 to $1,600 a month. 2 bedrooms in gated condos reach $2,000. These are not outlier numbers. They are the current median on Airbnb, Vivanuncios, and Facebook Marketplace groups for the area. The retirees who moved to PV in 2019 got great deals. Anyone arriving now is not getting those deals. The cartel situation in Jalisco and Nayarit states requires honest discussion. Jalisco, the state Puerto Vallarta sits in, is home to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, one of the most powerful and violent criminal organizations in the Western Hemisphere. Violence is almost entirely concentrated in cartel versus cartel and cartel versus government conflicts. Foreigners are not the targets. That is largely still true. Incidents of foreigners caught in crossfire or neighborhoods experiencing spillover violence from cartel activity have increased. The U.S. State Department currently rates Jalisco as Level 2, exercise increased caution, and Nayarit, home to Sayulita and San Pancho, as Level 3, reconsider travel. Level 3, for a retirement destination actively marketed in glossy magazines. The temporary resident visa, Mexico's pathway for retirees, requires demonstrating either a monthly income of roughly $2,600 or savings of approximately $43,000. Those thresholds were raised significantly in 2023 and have priced out a meaningful segment of the retirees for whom Mexico was theoretically the most accessible, affordable option. And temporary residency must be renewed annually for 4 years before permanent residency becomes available. Healthcare in Puerto Vallarta has genuine upside. Private hospitals are competent, prices are a fraction of the US, and English-speaking providers are common in expat-heavy areas. That is real. But evacuation access to the United States, for complex cardiac cases, for neurological events, for serious cancer treatment, is expensive, and Mexico's public healthcare system is not accessible to most foreign residents in a meaningful way, without significant patience and bureaucratic navigation. The verdict: Puerto Vallarta is not a fraud. It is a genuinely pleasant, warm, culturally rich place to spend time. But the budget argument has largely collapsed. The security situation in the surrounding state is objectively concerning, and the visa income requirements have risen past the threshold that made it accessible to average Social Security recipients. If you are set on Mexico, there are quieter, safer, and still genuinely affordable options farther from the spotlight. The Pacific Party Corridor is no longer any of those things. I know what you are expecting. You thought number one was going to be one destination, one specific cautionary tale. Instead, number one is a category, and it is the most important category on this entire list because it represents where the largest concentration of misled American retirees end up and where the financial damage is the most severe. The dream is specific, and it is almost universal among a certain kind of American retiree. A stone farmhouse in the Tuscan hills, a stone village in Provence with a weekly market and a wine cave. A white apartment on the Costa del Sol with Mediterranean views and tapas bars within walking distance. You have seen the movies. This dream has been sold to American retirees for 30 years. And it is not that it is impossible, it is that the version of it that gets sold bears almost no resemblance to the financial reality of actually executing it. Let us run the real numbers on Tuscany. A restored stone farmhouse in the Chianti or Val d'Orcia area, the Tuscany of imagination, rents for €2,500 to €5,000 a month. That is $2,700 to $5,400. A modest apartment in a Tuscan hill town, less photogenic, more practical, runs €1,200 to €1,800. Groceries in Italy, while wonderful, are not cheap. A restaurant dinner with wine in a tourist-adjacent Tuscan town runs $40 to $70 for two. Monthly transport, and you will need a car, Italy's rural bus system is not designed for daily life, adds €300 to €500 in fuel, insurance, and maintenance. A realistic monthly budget for a single retiree living modestly but enjoyably in rural Tuscany is €3,000 to €4,000 minimum. At current exchange rates, that is $3,250 to $4,350. On a Social Security check, Provence tells the same story. The Luberon, the villages around Gordes and Roussillon that every travel photographer has ever pointed a camera at. Rental prices have been European resort expensive for years and rose further during and after the pandemic. €1,500 for a one-bedroom is the floor, not the ceiling, in any desirable area. Spain's Costa del Sol is the most complex entry here, because it genuinely used to be an affordable retirement option, and in specific inland areas, modest budgets are still workable. But the coastal corridor from Marbella to Malaga has gentrified dramatically. Malaga City itself, once a sleepy southern port, is now one of the fastest appreciating real estate markets in Europe, driven by remote workers and tech company relocations. A one-bedroom apartment in central Malaga now costs €1,200 to €1,600 a month. Add food, transport, and incidentals, and you are at €2,000 to €2,500. Still cheaper than London, not retirement on Social Security. And then there is the regulatory reality. Italy's elective residency visa, the pathway for retirees, requires demonstrating passive income of at least €31,000 per year per person. That is $2,800 per month in provable income, from pensions, investments, or other passive sources. Social Security alone for most recipients does not clear that bar. France's long-stay visa for retirees requires similar income demonstrations and comprehensive private health insurance for the first 5 years. Spain's non-lucrative visa requires approximately €2,150 per month in provable income, and that threshold has been increasing. European immigration, broadly, is becoming more restrictive toward non-EU retirees, not less. The dream is real, the math is not. And the cruelest version of this mistake is the retiree who arrives, falls in love, burns through savings trying to maintain a lifestyle the budget cannot support, and is forced to leave, not because the country failed them, but because the content they consumed never ran the actual numbers. The verdict: European dream retirements are real. For retirees with $4,000 or more per month in guaranteed income. For anyone below that threshold, the gap between the dream being sold and the life that $1,500 to $2,000 actually buys in Western Europe is wide enough to be genuinely dangerous to your financial security. Go. Visit. Make it a beautiful trip, but build your permanent retirement foundation somewhere the math actually works. 6 destinations. 6 different failure modes, all of them still being actively promoted to people who deserve better information. Bali, no retirement visa, doubled rents, an Indonesian government that has explicitly said it does not want long-term foreign settlers. Medellín, the cheap neighborhoods are gone. The security situation is more complex than the YouTube thumbnails suggest, and Spanish fluency is no longer optional. Chiang Mai, $23,000 locked in a Thai bank account, annual renewals with no certainty, and some of the worst seasonal air quality on the planet. Portugal, the NHR tax regime is dead. Rents have caught up with European averages, and the D7 visa wait is now measured in years. Puerto Vallarta. Costs have surged past what most retirees can afford. The surrounding state carries a level 3 travel advisory, and the visa income requirements went up. And the European dream belt, Tuscany, Provence, Costa del Sol, where the gap between the imagery and the actual monthly number is wide enough to wreck a retirement plan inside of 12 months. None of these places are worthless. Some of them are genuinely beautiful. But beauty is not a financial plan, and a good destination at the wrong time with the wrong visa And the wrong cost of living assumptions is just an expensive mistake with a pleasant backdrop. The world is wider than you think, but the research has to be as good as the dream. There are 5 English-speaking islands right now. Real, documented, legally accessible, where $1,500 a month does not just get you by, it gets you a life. Mediterranean sunshine, Caribbean coastlines, world-class food, first-world hospitals at prices that should not be legal. That video is right there on your screen. Watch it before you book anything. Because the upside is just as real as everything we covered today. You just have to go to the right places to find it.